music hot. Music.
All right, 3. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cap and King Wadcast. This is episode number 2. I am Christian.
I'm Dallas.
And I'm Chelsea.
All right. So, touching back off from where we left last time, we talked about stage 1 of the CrossFit Games, and since then, stage 2 has happened. We have winners. We have people who didn't win as much, but being top 5 in the world, I still kind of think makes them winners in my eyes.
They won either way, but we forget the whole time. Everyone's saying, they got last.
No.
Last
is 5th place.
Yes,
last used to be 40th place, and that's still better than any of us will ever do.
Yep.
So,
good stuff.
Couple little housekeeping things that we forgot to go over last week, or last 2 weeks ago, whenever that came out. We have Wadcast in the name, obviously. We didn't touch on why. We do want to turn this to a podcast version also, not just on YouTube. So right now, where you're seeing us talk about things just on YouTube, we are going to take an audio-only version. Probably be a little shorter because as this gets going, we're going to include clips and videos. Like we're going to have some on these episodes we're about to put out of community members doing pretty cool things. So we'll have to leave those out. Obviously, you can't see that on Spotify, but we will have shorter, more condensed versions so people can get this information while they're driving or if they don't have time to sit down and watch something. So that's what we have coming up pretty soon.
Yeah. So did you want to touch on one of those athlete spotlights real quick?
Sure thing. You go right ahead.
So for our first athlete spotlight, our coach, Casey Collins, sent out and said, Mr. Ethan Stockett had a PR front squat. Now, Ethan, I'm so sorry, but she said that you had 315-pound front squat this week. But knowing you, that was most likely a 415-pound front squat. And we just want to say congratulations. Ethan's been working on really hard through the whole pandemic and everything. He's got a big athletic background. He's a fullback at Mississippi State. And so he's on his way back, getting back in shape, and hit that 415. So we just want to give him a shout out. That's really awesome work, and that's what we want you to tag us in. So we do like Cap and King. I'm not really sure what the hashtags are going to be. Cap and King PR, Cap and King ER.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah.
may come later. If you went for a PR but didn't quite make it. But shout out to Ethan Stockett at Activate Fitness. Big 415-pound front squat this week. But that can lead us right into what we're all here for.
So we are here to recap the. I'm sticking with that. I'm holding on to
the
that.
whole time.
The 2020 Reebok CrossFit Games. I do want to throw out. This is actually the last year we're going to be calling it the Reebok CrossFit Games.
Ooh.
This is the last year of that partnership. That being said, if you got a Reebok outlet store near you, they don't sponsor us. They're not paying me to say this. Go rob them. They got the one in Branson, the closest to us, does 70% off of all their CrossFit apparel. And then if you tell them that you do CrossFit, that's an additional 20% off. So you're getting away with some $90 shorts for pretty dirt cheap.
That's awesome.
So yeah, go do that. This is the last year.
I promise I CrossFit. Look how fit I am.
You're right. Look, like I can do a burpee.
Yeah. They'd be like, sir, do the burpee, please. You don't do. No, get out of here.
Yeah, last year that Reebok, unless things change, will be the title sponsor for the Reebok CrossFit Games. So I'm very curious as to what the prize product's going to look like after this year, because I know the past couple of years, first place gets like $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of that comes from Reebok. So if they don't have them, I wonder if a different title sponsor is going to come in and take that place, or if that prize is going to go down at all. Obviously, the best are going to go there. It's the CrossFit Games. They want to prove that they're the fittest in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see where it goes, though.
I don't know, with stuff like the Dubai Championships, like there's really good prize money outside of it, so I really don't think it's going to be hard to find another title sponsor. I mean, I'm sure there's someone itching in there. Everyone was probably really upset when they had that. It was like a 10-year contract, right? Whenever they signed it out,
Something like that.
Something really long like that. I'm sure there were a lot of companies that were upset that they didn't get in there. So with the new changes coming and everything, which we kind of saw, I personally could tell some of those changes happening just in the games, as far as like getting rid of the old CEO and everything and how they handle stuff. So, I mean, I think the prize money, if anything, will be bigger because showing some of those flashbacks of them in the tennis stadium,
Yeah.
or in those the full football stadiums where like it was like 2 years ago when Matt decided to like learn how to sprint. And he just blew everyone out of the water, and like everyone erupted. I turned to Alex, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I miss working out in front of a crowd. It's such a different atmosphere." But with the new stuff like that, getting back into a crowd, COVID willing, that we're going to be back into a crowd next year. I really think we're going to have some cool stuff.
Right. Looking at Go Ruckin' Road, probably.
Yeah.
I got really sad watching the games. I'm not gonna lie. There was one event, I don't remember which one it was. It was one of the shorter ones, where you could see people. It looked like they were in like the backyard of their house with a trailer that they were sitting on and watching. And all I could think about was, I had tickets to go to the games this year.
Son of I know.
It drove me nuts.
I kept looking. That's a high school. It's only like 2 miles from the ranch, and that's like a neighborhood. And I was like, there's got to be CrossFitters in that neighborhood. You can't be that close to the ranch and then be right there. And then like lo and behold, the next day, like CrossFitters found a way. There were campers out there. They were lined up there, and they were giving out free like drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool like to embrace the people who came out.
Absolutely.
It was good stuff.
So let's go right into event number 1. 2007 Reload. So they just took that workout that was made from the hopper and they turned it into something that today's athletes should be doing. So the workout back in 2007, I want to go over that one first.
So
see where it changed.
Yes.
So it was a 1,000 meter row and then 5 rounds for time, 25 pull-ups, 7 push jerks. Guys did 135 pounds, ladies did 95 pounds. I could see that program in here one day and just be like, cool.
Yeah.
I'll go do that.
I'm not going to be like upset about it or like worried about it. I'm just going to do some work.
Let's talk about what that turned into. This year, a 1,500 meter row, fine. 5 rounds, 10 bar muscle ups, 7 shoulder to overheads at 235 pounds and 145 pounds. That changed
massively.
Yeah.
And it showed even. It was weird that. That's a reoccurring theme the whole weekend was Matt and Tia kind of mirrored each other.
Yeah.
They both failed at the very end of this.
I love that.
I know. But I mean, it showed like how well they can keep their composure and be in that competitive like zone. And then they got to the very end, they just couldn't make it, But that's a massive weight, especially. What did that end up being? That's 30 or 35 push jerks.
Right.
At 235 pounds
and 145. Like you said, like Matt, Fraser, and Tia went unbroken the entire time until that last round. Did 6 shoulder overheads, went for that 7th, and it wasn't they chose to drop it. Like they failed the rep. Like these people showed a little bit of humanity in them. They didn't the rest of the weekend though.
They really didn't. But I think they were trying to set a precedent. So I think they were like, hey, we're here. We're gonna do all these unbroken, and they just happened to because that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
A lot of reps paired with like super high technical bar muscle ups. And so I really think they just wanted to come out and be like, we're here. Like not that they didn't do that the rest of the weekend, but that's why they both ended up failing that last rep and didn't get it up.
Right.
So I don't know. I thought it was great. And then you had your boy Justin Medeiros.
Oh, I was so excited to see him second. Like this is another thing that paralleled the guys and girls because Justin Medeiros, rookie year, second place by 8 seconds behind Fraser. Obviously, if Fraser would have hit that last rep, it would have been more around 20 or something. It wouldn't have been as close. But Justin Medeiros took 1 break on bar muscle ups or 2 breaks on bar muscle ups in that last round. I don't quite remember which. And had he not taken a break, he would have had him there.
Yeah.
But on the other side of things, Haley Adams, the youngest on the field for the women's side and the youngest on the field overall, was also second place. So we had our veteran champions followed by the youngest ready to claim their stake.
But that may be kind of a reoccurring thing, and we kind of saw it with both of the rookies. They came out. We spoke about it, and like they haven't been hurt yet by the game, super bad. So they came out hot, ready to go, did awesome in that first workout, and then we saw maybe both of them kind of trickled off a little bit. Which I mean, hey, still top 5 and all that, but I really think that's what it was. Some people, maybe Noah, maybe those other 2 guys, paced it a little bit too much because they knew that the weekend was coming.
Right.
They knew,
they've been there.
And then they heard Dave say this is going to be the worst games ever, which
you get that in your head.
Yeah.
You don't want to blow out that first workout. You're not trying to win it in workout 1.
Yep.
So let's talk about the rest of these standings for the first event. On guys' side, we had Matt Fraser in first with doing the workout in 13:07. Justin Medeiros in second at 13:15. Samuel Quant third for 13:38. Jeffrey Adler at 14:03 came fourth. And then fifth was Noah Olson, almost a little more than 2.5 minutes behind the fourth place one there at 16:48. That one kind of surprised me. Not so much the idea that he came fifth in this one per se. I suspected kind of a stronger initial outing out of him after last year, because he took the reins and ran with it last year, from what I can remember. But this one wasn't his, and he had better events as the weekend went on. But
he did have better events, but I kind of feel like that first event kind of was, clearly was foreshadowing for how he was going to perform. Mm-hmm. And I think it almost was like he peaked at the wrong time. He looked tired, not necessarily physically tired. I think he looked worn down, where like his mind just wasn't right where it needed to be. Clearly he looked in peak physical condition, and then he had some of those events where he finished toward the top and had those flashes. But I think that was an unfortunate foreshadowing for the rest of the weekend. That we were like, man, that's not how we thought he would come out of the gates. But then I thought the girls, just for the record, like the girls' race was phenomenal. This whole
exciting.
Weekend,
it was all weekend long. Yeah. So going over the girls' standings in this first workout, Tia Toomey, 12:47, finished it 20 seconds faster than her training partner Matt Fraser. Bet she got to go about that a little bit.
Well, we can talk about that too. That is 100-pound. It's a 90-pound difference. That's not quite where it should be.
Yeah, right.
And I usually catch flack for this because I'm trying to put more weight on the girls, but our women have gotten way stronger than anyone's given them credit for.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, that's all. Just case in point, like the old weight that was on there.
Yeah, 95 pounds.
And
now they're doing more weight than what the guys were doing then.
Yeah, that's insane. But they came and it was really strong. And we say that, but then she still missed the same reps.
Yeah.
That Matt did. So maybe I'm just kind of talking out of turn there. But
I feel like the times were still pretty close.
Yeah, they were.
But I did hear them say that they thought that the women's weight was too low. And so I was wondering if you guys agreed with that.
Well, it's a tough conversation to even have because it's not like the standard can't be guys. So that's inaccurate. You can't be the guys. It's got to be per, and it can't be compared to. That's what we always do,
Yeah.
So honestly, I can kind of go back immediately on what I just said. Like if the times were right, top girl, top guy missed the exact same rep, and we're basically the exact same time. Then that's clearly where it needed to be. But that's a big old gap.
Right. But then also on that note, second place on the girls' side of this event, Haley Adams, where Justin Medeiros was 13:15, Haley Adams 13:17. 2-second difference between them. Mm-hmm. Again, youngest in the field. Same idea. Maybe they didn't know what to expect for the weekend, so they were shooting their shot.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
They were trying. I think they were trying to put the champions, but not only the champions, everybody else on the field on notice of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all you could do at that point.
Absolutely. And if you got a shot, if they felt good going into that first workout, I'm gonna get all the points I can get, especially with that spread that he put. Now, I was not a fan. Right out the gates, I said, "What is he doing? That's way too much of a spread. People aren't gonna be able to make it up." Mm-hmm. It's not everyone else's fault that Matt and Tia are so much better that they stayed in first, but everyone else shifted the entire weekend. So I stand corrected there because I thought it should be a lot closer where there wasn't as much shifting. But we had fifth to second to fourth, the whole weekend, which made it really cool. It's just we have two really fit individuals that stayed up front the whole weekend.
No, I thought the same thing. I think it was Kelsey James who commented on our YouTube video who told us what the point standings were because we weren't sure of it when we recorded last time. And whenever I saw
thank
that,
you for the interaction, by the way.
Absolutely, we love that. We love that, especially whenever something we're not sure of. But when I saw that, I thought, okay, you might be able to give up one workout. If you come last twice, that's going to hurt you a lot. But then it happened a lot. Mm-hmm. If you look at from Sam Quant's overall scores, he had a lot of third and fourth place finishes. Mm-hmm. Look at where he ended up on the podium, second place.
Yeah.
Little spoiler because we haven't quite gotten there yet, but everybody probably knows about that by now.
Yeah, if you're a real CrossFit fan.
What? If you're a real CrossFit fan, you've liked and subscribed to this channel already. Third place in this event. Carrie Pierce.
There
I
we go.
did say
Yeah,
that
Carrie
wrong
Pierce.
last time. I was
You
saying
did.
Kari the entire time. I don't know why I got that on my
We're
head.
embarrassed. It's all right. That's okay. I said it too.
Carrie Pierce at 13:59. She impressed me all weekend long.
Especially for her to handle that weight. I mean, I know she's super good at gymnastics, but that's not quite enough gymnastics compared to the barbell.
Right.
For her to like do as well as she did.
Katrin David's daughter, the sled dog, at 15:16. Brooke Wells at 15:45. Which Brooke Wells is another person like Noah Olsen, where I think this event foreshadowed how their weekend played out. Because if I remember right, she was third, pushing second for most of this workout. It was those last 2 rounds where she really started to trail off. Like, she could not keep that energy output going.
Yeah.
And that's where Carrie and Katrin, because Katrin spent most of this workout in 5th place, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that's not great. She had, what was it? She broke her back or something this year.
What was it, herniated disc?
Herniated disc.
Or
It's more exciting to say broken back.
Broken back.
Sounds more serious.
Way better.
But yes, a herniated disc.
Yeah.
She had a back injury that she was dealing with earlier this year. So seeing her start this workout and 5th for almost the entire time, I thought, that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be how this whole weekend plays out. And obviously we were wrong. Because Brooke gassed out here. Katrin got ahead of her, beat her by almost 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that goes to show through more workouts as the weekend went on.
Yeah. And through the whole weekend, you kind of feel, and this kind of speaks to like the spirit of CrossFit and like just how athletes work. Brooke and Noah, I would say, had the roughest weekends.
Yeah.
And your hearts really go out to them because some stuff just doesn't go your way.
Right.
And in particular, I don't think any of this weekend was in Brooke's wheelhouse.
No.
And but she's fighting all the way through those 300 daggone pull-ups in the very last workout. And it's just and as we talk through all this, I just want to say again, these are the top 5 athletes in the world. We're not talking about being last in the CrossFit Games or last in the Open, whatever it is. But like that, especially when that camera's on at the end of the CrossFit Games,
right.
you can tell like
their
soul is not inside of them anymore. They've left everything out. And,
just
and
seeing
so,
Noah on that sand hill, laying on the ground, didn't want to move. Brooke showing some emotions at the end.
Coaches, it's just
it's hard when you train that hard because again, as we keep saying, you weren't last in the CrossFit Games. You were in 5th place.
But it felt like last.
It felt like last because of this whole stage
athletes.
2 is all you were competing with. But I think this is a great chance, and I don't know Brooke's training that well. I know she's with Ben Bergeron. I know she's with Comp Train. I don't know if she is tackling her weaknesses the way Matt and T are. Because whenever we see her at the games, there will always be something, usually towards the end of the weekend, that catches her up.
Mm-hmm.
Usually something pretty skill heavy, peg boards, handstand push-ups aren't necessarily her jam, and those things will just ruin it for her. So I think hopefully, she's still so young. She still has so much time to peak.
Which is crazy. She's been there for like 5 years.
Yeah,
she's
20, been doing this for a while now.
Yeah.
That podium just eludes her so much. Like, so many times she looks like she's a shoo-in, and then something happens.
But this is the best she's finished, though. That's the other,
absolutely.
That's the other side. You're like, man, she did poorly. Wait, that's the best she's ever finished.
Right.
That's what we all forget. And like, all of us are at home eating potato chips.
It's like one of my favorite memes. Me watching the CrossFit Game. Should have gone unbroken.
Yeah.
That was me all week.
Exactly. Yeah.
Should have gone unbroken.
I'd have done that unbroken. At half that weight.
Right. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to event 2.
There you go. Event number 2.
Yes.
That was the
corn stack sprint.
Oh man. That was
short, sweet, to the point. A lot of hurt.
Yes, tons of hurt. Their quads, like you could like noticeably see their quads.
Yeah.
It was insane. And those, I feel like the TV did not do the steepness of any of those hills justice.
But if you have these fit people visually pushing off their legs to get up a hill.
So it wasn't that heavy in terms of sacks. Like it
50-pound sack for guys, 30-pound sack for girls. That's not a 320-meter sprint.
It is. No, yeah. And so, but like what we use in CrossFit, like the guys use hundreds all the time or 150s all the time. So, like the overall weight was not tons. But man, like you had like that's not too bad. Straight, I got this.
Yeah,
that's not too bad. Straight. Oh no! And then they finished like the last 200 yards in just a straight up. Mm-hmm. And then we had Justin Medeiros just
Just a little small mistake at the very
Yeah.
top,
Oh, yeah.
giving up just a little bit.
that just hurts because that's the now he still did well, but man, like it sucks to give points away just like that.
Absolutely.
You know, like where someone's just like, haha, gotcha, you know?
Something that is so short and so not skill heavy, me being an average Joe athlete, I would love to like tackle this hill and see what it would be like, you know? Because Matt Fraser, Tia Toomey came first place in their respective heats. It's only 320 meters. It's only 50 pounds. It's only 30 pounds. It took Matt Fraser 2 minutes and 51 seconds and Tia Toomey 3 minutes and 5 seconds to run 320 meters. So again, average Joe athlete just running for a little while. I want to see what the big deal is. But you watch it and you know there's something scary about that hill. Like,
Yes.
Happy Halloween, here's your scare early on. Like,
Absolutely.
trick or treat and you get a trick. You know?
Yes. Yeah. 100%. It's been where's the tree?
Where's the tree?
The whole time.
That $300,000 check is crazy.
Which Matt and Tia are enjoying very much.
Not bad.
Yes.
Not bad.
You think they'll give us some? You think they want to be a sponsor?
Can we get enough shares on this video to
We'll have
Reach out to
Chelsea's gonna
Matt
reach
too.
out on Instagram.
Yeah.
Tag. Yeah, she's gonna tag.
Tag them. That's all right.
Thanks,
They got
Chels.
extra.
I got you.
So yeah, and also again, obviously training partners. They started this race off exactly the same. They started off slow, let everybody else get out ahead of them, laughed at them a little bit, and then
Yeah.
just took it in the second half.
Yeah.
I know Brooke had a pretty big mistake early on here. There was a point where the trail kind of went around to the side. They didn't have to follow that trail. They could cut through the grass, which everybody but Brooke did.
Yeah.
And Brooke started off hot, like we've talked about, and she came last.
Was that
That was-
something that they knew though, that was like an option? Because I feel like unless somebody was like, you can run straight up, I would have also followed the trail.
I definitely think that
that they told them, but there was no grass and growth.
Right, so it
On
looked
the
like
trail?
an easier path.
So so that's something that she thought was going to slow her down.
because a couple guys took that route too.
Gotcha.
I don't remember which ones, but it was divided. Not everyone went straight up. I mean, clearly, yes, straight path, but there was untouched ground. Like in that trail, they at least have had whatever, a tractor or like ran there before or whatever it is, so you can kind of see the terrain. So maybe she was worried about stepping through the grass, stepping on rocks, and but either way, it did come back to bite her.
Yeah.
Going that extra little bit. But that was short and sweet. That was cool to get that done. And then we were on to number 3.
Number 3, which is the one that everybody was excited to see, the CrossFit Total. Let's just lift some
Yes.
big weights, which they did this one more akin to what they did in 2007 as opposed to what they did in 2018. Because in 2018, they started with the lightest weight and worked their way up. You had 4 minutes to lift 3 times of a shoulder press, then 4 minutes for 3 lifts on back squat, then 4 minutes on 3 lifts of a deadlift. What they did this time is they did it in 45-second windows where you had 45 seconds, it's your turn to lift, and then the next person will go, then the next person will go. But they still all had 3 lifts.
Yeah.
This time they just started with the back squat first, then they did shoulder press, and then they did the deadlifts. And these guys are putting up some big weights, and this was the first time Matt did not win an event this year. Jeffrey Adler kind of picked up the W on him on this event, lifting a total of 1,244 pounds, and I don't quite remember what that last deadlift weight was, but it was close to 600. I think it was like 580 something, 570 something.
Either way, I think it was 585.
That's
Either
not
way,
bad.
it was the second or third PR for him
Right.
in deadlift, which is killer. And I love he slams that PR and he like really awesome starts talking to his coach, but it's in French.
Yeah.
And we talked about
Yes,
the French talk last
we
week.
did.
And oh man, it's so awesome. He's so intense, but you're like, oh man, you're ordering roses and crepes and stuff. That's just what it sounded like. But man, he's a big dude, and that was, you could clearly see that was his game.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about the snatch ladder later, can't wait for that little section.
Love me a snatch.
But yeah, that was. But Jeffrey Adler, Matt Fraser held his own,
Yeah.
and only it was 20 pounds, right? Or how much
Something
was
like
it?
that. I didn't. So total poundage. I didn't get the individuals.
Okay.
Jeffrey Adler lifted a total of 1,244 pounds.
Mhm.
Matt in second did 1,237. Noah in third with 1,200. Samuel Quant with 1,196, and Justin Medeiros with 1,192.
Right. But so Matt had the lead going into the deadlift.
It was just that last lift that he picked up those last few pounds.
Yeah, but I think he had quite a bit of a lead, being that smaller athlete, and then
Mhm.
Adler had to just I mean, he blew him out of the water deadlift and only beat him by like 15 pounds.
And didn't Matt also like beat his best recorded back squat?
I believe so.
It
His
sounded like they
listed
said
one,
that.
yeah.
His listed one.
Yeah, his
Okay.
listed one. So I don't know if he's done it before, but I mean, I loved how they went down the line.
Mhm.
And this is probably to speak a little bit where Noah gets in the hole.
Right.
After those first two performances, he's the first lifter or the second lifter. He's the second lifter because
Second.
Adler's the first. Yeah.
Right.
And so now Matt's got him because really, truly, Matt's really only worried about Noah.
Yeah.
And he's looking, and Noah's not anywhere close to him, but he also doesn't have a chance to like surprise Matt. With like I'm gonna throw some extra weight on here or extra weight on here, put some pressure on him, and maybe make him miss a lift. He's 4 people down.
Right.
Matt is way ahead of him, and then I think that starts you're gonna have an uphill climb the entire weekend. So, but I really enjoyed. It really wasn't that long. As far as the viewership, that's one thing like we can talk about is like the games for like the fitness aspect, and then like from a viewer standpoint,
right.
I thought it was pretty cool. It's only 45 seconds. It wasn't it wasn't super boring, and we really got to like move on to different people all the way through, and I kind of like the CrossFit Total.
I like that over the 2018 version of it, because in the 2018 version of it, there were still 10, I think, people going at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't, here's
Oh,
your
like
allotted
that
time.
person.
It was, you have 4 minutes, take those 4 minutes to get your 3 lifts, however you want to do it, then we'll move on to the next 4 minutes. So the camera was never just following one person lifting.
Yeah.
It was, you would only get to see your leaders. There was always the people in the back, and this does go out to the point where a smaller field can be better because you're getting to see everybody do their thing.
Yeah.
So everybody had their 45 seconds. You knew who was lifting. You know what everybody was lifting,
Mhm.
and then you get to move on to whoever's next.
Yeah.
Then on the women's side of thing, it's lifting. We knew Tia was going to take that, which we can say that about just about anything in CrossFit today.
Yeah.
We also knew that this was going to be where Brooke had a better shot. She's obviously one of those more stronger athletes that were on the field.
Won the
And-
deadlift ladder back in 2017, 18, somewhere in there.
Yes.
So like they knew she was going to come in and lift
Yeah.
that big heavy weight on the back end, which if you good enough on the deadlift, you can really make up the shoulder press and the back
Yep.
squat. And so
Because that's where all your boundaries are going to be. Because on something like a shoulder press, you can be stronger than somebody else on a shoulder press, but that's still going to be 5 to 15 pounds. It's not going to be, or on a deadlift, you might outlift somebody by 50, 60 pounds.
Mhm. And I really feel like that was when you were talking about the armchair quarterbacks at home. That was probably like, well, it's 120 pounds, whatever, 150, I can do that.
do
No,
that.
sir, you can't. No, man, you can't. That is a strict press.
Right.
And just because it's not a 600-pound deadlift with all those plates on it doesn't mean it's not difficult. And I mean, I love seeing, the guys were up over like 215, 205, and
Right.
the girls were in that 150 to 175 range, weren't they? Somewhere
Around there.
Yeah, really awesome to see that.
So looking at these here, Tia lifted a total of 890 pounds. I was texting somebody and I totaled out what my CrossFit total would be if I hit my best lift.
In a magical universe where I hit all my best
all my
times.
PRs.
Yeah.
I would have barely been over Tia's, and I took that as a huge win.
That's an important barely, though.
Yes,
That's
it
an
is.
important barely.
Tia with 890 pounds, Brooke with 884 pounds, Carrie Pierce came third here, 764 pounds, Haley with 712 pounds. We kind of knew this one wasn't going to be her best, but her coming in fourth, I think, was a pretty big deal.
It was really big. And this is where we saw this battle.
Mm-hmm.
Haley, having not had many years in the sport to develop her strength, and you can tell that with Haley just with the eye test.
Right.
She's not a strong girl. She can handle really good weight, like really big weight in a workout. But if you're looking at her, you can tell that she's got a lot of development to go. And then that paired with Katrin, who couldn't lift the barbell off the ground because her back.
Absolutely.
Right. And so this is the part where you saw her. You're like feeling for her. You're like, dang, this is where it caught up. But it ended up kind of making for a little
worked out
exciting
pretty well
thing
for her.
for him. You're right at the end there.
Absolutely. And Katrin totaled out with 701 pound in the CrossFit total.
Mhm.
So super exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Just always love those big weight events. They're fun.
Yeah, and I really think Katrin kind of like she knew this one was gonna go.
Yeah.
When she went for that last deadlift, she was like she pulled for a second. She's like, it's not worth it. Like it's not worth it. I'll just get it somewhere else. And she ended up getting it somewhere else. So I mean that was a super veteran move. And I mean not that Haley had anything else to do, but Katrin let her have that one, and then she's like, I'll get you on the next one, young
Absolutely.
buck, young buck.
So then, event 4, if anybody knows me, I'm going to love a good handstand sprint.
Oh my gosh.
A 100-yard handstand sprint. This was just down length of a football field, and there's one thing I wish they would have done differently about this workout, and I think they didn't because they did it with the snatch one. I wish this would have been elimination style. I wish they would have had us do the handstand sprint 4 times, eliminate one person each time, so where it comes down to 2 people at the end. So then you have to play fast, but you also have to play smart for forearm strength and endurance to last longer, which I get it. We need some of these shorter events.
Yeah.
Just something like this, I think, could have been, this being so skill heavy, endurance heavy, I think would have been really interesting to see it be a little longer in elimination style. So whenever we finally do the Activate Functional Fitness Championship,
Well, let's do a Cap and King.
We're doing it.
you heard it here
We're
first.
going to go to a football field. We're going to do a 100-meter sprint. I'm going to win. It's not going to be a big
it's on.
deal.
It's on.
No,
It's on.
As far as this workout, I didn't like how they allowed the athletes to, as long as their feet were behind the line, they could advance.
Right.
And so you had it helped Justin Medeiros a little bit. He got to break a little bit, and I think he stayed a little bit higher than he probably would have.
So Justin Medeiros had an interesting strategy because
Yeah.
he broke every 10 yards.
And then jumped 2
I was
yards.
gonna say, yeah, he leaped like out
Yeah,
forward,
yeah,
like half.
right.
Which
Like that.
they didn't lay.
The course to be able to have those natural markers, it seemed like it was a little bit lazy as far as like, and maybe there were other circumstances that we didn't know that they couldn't lay it out.
Right.
I mean, there are hash marks the entire time.
Mhm.
I would have liked to see more penalties, like go back to here if you fall,
Right.
type thing. You know?
Which is why I think that having that longer spread out elimination style, you would see that happen because
Yes.
people are going to get tired on their 4th 100-meter handstand sprint.
Yeah,
which-
because you don't have longevity in your shoulders ever
No.
for walking. I mean, we
You
had
lose
plenty
that,
for
it's
our
gone.
legs and hips this weekend, longevity running.
Yes.
Oh
Man.
But no, it was exciting either way, and I think really, we haven't even talked about the guys yet, but the girls surprised me so much.
Yeah.
That side.
Absolutely. I did not know Brooke was as good of a handstand walker as she was.
And I didn't know Tia was as poor as she was.
Exactly.
I mean, it's poor, right? So like, she's in the back of these 5. I just assume, you just assume that the top athlete, Tia or Matt are going to be up top. But then we're going, I'm like, oh no, I didn't know that. That's crazy. And then I
Right.
love seeing Brooke coming in first there.
Yeah, I was expecting a Carrie Pierce first place finish there, and she was
Yes.
second. She was
Mhm.
literally 2 seconds behind Brooke. It was a good little race there. But like I said, traditionally some of these more high skill things, not necessarily Brooke's wheelhouse, I was super surprised to see her take off the way she did. And I was super happy because after the 2 last place finishes on the first 2 events, getting second in event 3, first in event 4, I think that was super important. And that's where this big point spread comes into play.
Yeah.
Because she's no longer in last place.
Right.
She's actually shooting up towards the top
And you
real
see the
fast.
heart come into play there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so easy. I know these are the top 10 athletes in the world, but like to have the first 3 events not go how you want them to go, it's tough to like jump back in. She jumped back in, and like that's the cool part. Even though they might have felt a little off, or like the programming wasn't quite in their wheelhouse, every single workout, 5th place showed up ready to go.
Mhm.
And it might have been a little bit because of that 0 that they could apply
Right.
if you didn't give your best effort for that, which is crazy. I'm so happy. That would be bad if you were the one athlete where Casher was
One
like,
time.
that was a 0, bro. You didn't do anything. And so, like, we didn't get a 0, so that's good. But that's why they did it. So
Right.
they could really see, and
I
it
think
was probably for us spectators.
Probably. I think it also motivated people to finish because, like, with only 5 people on the field and knowing there's not other heats, if you saw you're about to be last place, you could easily just
Yeah,
be
you're
like,
like,
"Why
"Ah,
would I finish?"
I got
Like,
an injury.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. But then you're scared of getting that 0.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which 15 is detrimental enough, but if you get 0,
That's
I mean, that's
game
probably it's probably like a death sentence as far as like getting back to the podium.
because whoever's 4th would only get 20 points more than you. You go to that 0, now it's 35 points more than you.
Yep.
Yeah. So going to the standings for the handstand sprint. First, we got Matt at 1:20, which 90 yards unbroken. Only
Yeah.
broke that last 10.
Mhm.
That was pretty cool. Medeiros second, 1:26. Noah at 1:39. Quant at 1:43, and Adler at 1:54. That was for the girls. Brooke at 1:21. Carrie for 1:23. Haley for 1:24. Such a tight race there.
Mhm.
Katrin at 1:40. Tia at 2 minutes and 5 seconds.
What was the clearly like you have the times and that's fine, but they listed someone as capping,
They listed Katrin as capping the work.
and that's not how it happened.
Are you talking about on the live scoring?
Yeah, was that just a-
live scoring is not always accurate. That live scoring is just whatever they can get sent to the the video truck
Yeah.
as quick as possible
Okay.
for something to see, but it's not always correct. For example, on the bike workout with the 10 rounds of the rope climbs, Adler was 2 seconds behind Matt on the official scoring, but if you looked at the live scoring, it looked like it was 13 seconds, which didn't make sense because that race was so tight.
And Brooke looked like she was like 17 rounds behind, and then
Right.
she wasn't. She was only 1 round behind. It was like a half round.
Yeah,
And we
sometimes
were like,
that.
oh, she's done. Like, oh crap. But yeah, I like stepped out. Like as they were crossing the finish line, I was like, got that. And I stepped out, and I came back, and I was like, wait, what happened? Like, why does it say cap? And I was super confused at that. But
Just
I mean, clearly it's
technical
all worked out.
difficulties
Yeah.
from a live feed point of view. And then we
It
had.
can't be perfect out here. What are we doing?
Surprisingly, man, boycott CrossFit. It's just. And then lastly, event 5, the ranch loop, where what was 6 mile trail run,
Dude.
3 miles one way, 3 miles the other way.
Well, sorry,
and
we
this
have
was
to say it was 3 miles. The end.
and
And then
And 3 miles.
3 miles.
Which this was that great moment where you just see Matt Fraser, he sprints in because he thinks he's done, puts his hand above his head, and then all of a sudden you see Dave crash. No, you got to go. You got to run it opposite now. And he's like, what? Medeiros runs in. Castro gives up on Matt because he doesn't think Matt's listening. He tells Medeiros, you got to go. John looks back at Matt. Hey, if you don't go, you're going to lose.
You're now losing.
You're losing.
He is closer to going back to the start. I love that.
Yeah.
so
I
much.
would have reacted
Now,
the same exact way.
100%. I might have even punched him on the way in, but like, you're not. This is stupid. Like, don't do that. This is what we trained for. But I mean, I see what they're doing. I was mad. I was flipping him off.
Yeah, I mean, not which they say it in the standpoint of like why we're doing CrossFit. We prepare for the unknown,
I
the
know,
unknowable.
I know.
So like, there's the cop out. There's the reason why this is okay.
Yeah.
I
It's
agree.
okay for him to be an asshole.
There's
Because
the
of
reason
the
why.
definition of what we're training for.
There's a reason why we literally have friends that have a shirt that says Dave Castro is a prick. Like,
Yes.
it's true, but we love him. You know,
yes, yeah, 100%.
He programmed, going over this programming, I like it. I think the workouts are good for the most part. There were some that aren't as good as others, and
Yeah.
as we've already kind of discussed a little bit, I think we're going to get there.
Yeah, 100. Yeah.
So, do we want to, okay, well, I guess finishing this one up. Yeah, sorry. Yes, 3 miles, finish, 3 miles again. First to fifth, on the guys' side, we have Matt at 57 minutes and 47 seconds. Running for an hour does not sound fun to me. Justin Medeiros at 58:17.
I really thought he was gonna beat him,
Yeah,
or at least be closer than what he was.
it was close already, and like then whenever he did get that head start on him
Uh-huh.
going back, seeing as how he was so close to him at the end, he had a chance.
Mhm.
But again, it's going into those trails.
Well, and it speaks to an athlete like Matt or Tia. Justin was fighting his hardest to be right on his heels
Yeah.
in the first 3 miles.
Yeah.
And then can you imagine that kind of depletion just in your soul where you're like, but I just
Yeah.
gave everything I had.
I just
I don't
sprinted
have
in.
anything else.
Because think about that. Every time you finish a WOD that's like 4 time, and you see the finish line, you're going to push to that finish line.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And now imagine your coach comes up to you and is like, oh, do more. And you're a paying member of that gym, you're going to say, no, I'm going home.
No, you're stupid. Yeah.
I mean, this kind of relates, but on a very, very low scale. The other day, I don't know why I thought this, but I raced Dylan Wiles inside of the building because he's like, don't let me beat you. And I thought it was the end of the workout. And then I came in and there was still 90 seconds of pull-ups left. And I was like, oh. I seen him go to I laid down on the floor, and I seen him go to the rig, and I'm like, what is he doing?
you have like a hand waiting for a hop.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's more.
So it was, I mean, that little thing to me, the 90 seconds, I was like, well, that's heartbreaking. They still had to run for another
Yeah.
30
And to add, no, I'm glad you said that because that was like, oh man, I have 3 more minutes of work to do. They had another 30 minutes of awful work, not just like not enjoyable work, not manageable work, just like go out there and you're gonna move for another 30 minutes.
Not only did they think that they were done with this workout, they thought they were done for the day. This
Yes.
was the last event. They were getting ready to go home, eat the
Ice
pizza
bath,
they burned all year.
Yes, get everything, recover. Man, I would do the same thing. I would have been so mad.
Yeah.
But it is the correct fit. Test the fitness.
Yep.
Like you gotta know, you gotta be fine. We do that every now and again when we program. We're like, hey,
Right.
sprint after you thought you were done sprinting. We have the decency to tell our athletes like, hey, this is gonna happen, so they can kind of game it. But
They would
it
have come
kind
back.
of, it kind of played out either way. And I really love the athlete coming back down realized it.
Oh, yes. I
Why
think
are
it
y'all
was-
still going? What are you doing? I thought the finish line was
was
up
there.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, but that
That was
was
Adler, wasn't it?
it was. I thought it was Quant. It might have been Adler.
Maybe so. I don't know. Those are kind of interchangeable all the way up until the very end where
Right.
Quant finished second.
Right.
Yeah.
Spoiler again. Same guy though, so you already knew.
Man, yes.
Oh well. So again, Justin Medeiros 58:17. Third was Noah Olsen at 59:11. Jeffrey Adler at 1 hour and 17 seconds. Samuel Quant 1 hour 10 minutes 17 seconds. And
Yeah. Honestly, as he was finishing, I think he was like, I mean, I'm just.
there's no point.
I'll
I'm
be
gonna
there.
start my recovery now.
I'll be there.
You know I'm a walk.
I'm just gonna. I'm not gonna get 0, but I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
He was just going in. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
On the latest side of thing, we have Katrin at 1 hour and 53 seconds. Haley, which I believe they said she has experience in cross country running, correct?
I'm not 100% sure. I didn't hear that.
Gotcha.
Doesn't
No, I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
1 hour, 2 minutes, 16 seconds. Tio in third place, 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 9 seconds. Carrie, 1 hour, 7 minutes, 7 seconds. And Brooke at 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 34 seconds.
No, I loved what they talked about. There was an Instagram post about Katrin. You know, she's super reserved usually.
Right.
You know, doesn't get too emotional about anything. But when she finished the second part, she went up to Katrin and she goes, "Let's fucking go!"
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
You know, it was so out of character for her, but she loved it. She says, she goes, "I love twists like that. That's what I live for."
Yeah.
And you see the fight that she had the rest of the time that kind of like backed up that. But I love that. Man, she came back and it's like big middle finger back to her. She's like, "I don't freaking, let's do it again.
Yep.
Send another one." And I mean, clearly she got first on
She did
that
great.
one. And I think that kind of like mounts her charge back to like staying back in the game there.
Right.
But I was really excited. But then on the flip side, Brooke, it was a rough one for her. I don't know if they said. I feel like the announcer said that she got off course for a second. I don't know if that was 100% sure, but I mean, you just can't imagine like if that's not in your wheelhouse, being last, and then being told, even though you finished last on the first portion, the people already have a head start that are better at you at this event. Do it again.
Right.
The mental like fortitude just to finish that one. Off the charts.
Yeah.
Like, and then to come back day 2, day 3, I feel like I would have just been like, I'll finish 5th in the world. I'm just gonna quit.
Just pay me. Let me go home.
Yeah. This is. I mean, I fell down a steep ravine. My ankle, it's swollen.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Well, that's how I count down workouts, too, is I'm like, okay, so I'm halfway through, just got to do half more, and
Yeah.
I'm going to be done. So,
You fraction it up. You try to make it smaller
Yeah.
and seem more manageable.
Yeah.
But then you don't know what to fraction up because it's not actually done yet.
yeah.
Yes.
That's
Or some a-hole
heartbreaking.
ruins all your fractions.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Anyway.
It's that was a tough one. I mean, I do think this event had to happen, but to lead into all the other events, I think there was a little bit too much more running later. So now we've had 2
Yeah, that's the one thing I want to go over later.
trail-ish runs. You know, we have the trail sprint, this trail run, and then we have 2 or 3 more. I think that's kind of a
The
common
CrossFit and running games is what this is turning into between last year and this year.
It
There's
is.
been a lot of running, and that is one point I did want to get into as we talked about more running workouts.
Yeah. So that's the end of day 1, right?
Yeah, that is the end of day 1, and we are going to actually split this up. We didn't go over that at the beginning of this. We are going to go ahead and put this into 3 different parts, 1 part for each day, make it a little bit easier for you guys to watch, a little casual. That way we're not putting out another hour something long video, because we don't know how long talking about these days are going to go, because we get pretty excited talking about events. So
And I really think we're going to get madder at Castro as the weekend goes on through this, because you know I put myself in the shoes of the top 5 fittest, and I'm
Right.
really mad.
yeah, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. So that is it for this first part. Stay tuned for part 2.
Coming soon.
Thanks, guys.